From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the Daily News for January 15th, 2026. These are the stories we are covering at this hour. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security said in a statement on the social media platform X that federal law enforcement officers stopped a person from Venezuela who was in the United States illegally. The person drove away and crashed into a parked car before taking off on foot, DHS said. After officers reached the person, two other people arrived from a nearby apartment, and all three started attacking the officer, according to Department of Homeland Security. Fearing for his life and safety as he was being ambushed by three individuals, the officer fired a defensive shot to defend his life, DHS said. The two people who came out of the apartment are in custody, it said. A large group of officers wearing gas masks fired tear gas into a crowd gathered at a North Minneapolis intersection near where Wednesday's shooting took place. Earlier Wednesday, a judge gave the Trump administration time to respond to a request to suspend its immigration crackdown in Minnesota, while the Pentagon looked for military lawyers to join what had become a chaotic law enforcement effort in the state. Plumes of tear gas, bursts of chemical irritants, and the screech of protest whistles have become common on the streets of Minneapolis, especially since Renee Good's shooting. Turning to news from Venezuela, Senate Republicans voted to dismiss a war powers resolution on Wednesday that would have limited President Donald Trump's ability to conduct further attacks on Venezuela after two GOP senators reversed course on supporting the legislation. Trump put intense pressure on 5 Republican senators who joined with Democrats to advance the resolution last week and ultimately prevailed in heading off passage of the legislation. Two of the Republicans, Senators Josh Hawley of Missouri and Todd Young of Indiana, flipped under the pressure. Vice President J.D. Vance had to break the 50-50 deadlock in the Senate on a Republican motion to dismiss the bill. The outcome of the high-profile vote demonstrated how Trump still has command over much of the Republican conference, yet the razor-thin vote tally also showed the growing concern on Capitol Hill over the president's aggressive foreign policy ambitions. Turning to news from space, an astronaut in need of doctor's care departed the International Space Station with 3 crewmates on Wednesday in NASA's first medical evacuation. The 4 returning astronauts from the United States, Russia, and Japan are aiming for an early Thursday morning splashdown in the Pacific near San Diego with SpaceX. The decision cut short their mission by over a month. Our timing of this departure is unexpected, NASA astronaut Zenek Hardman said before the return trip. But what was not surprising to me was how well this crew came together as a family to help each other and just take care of each other. Officials refused to identify the astronaut who needed care last week and would not divulge the health concerns. The ailing astronaut is stable, safe, and well cared for, outgoing Space Station Commander Mike Fink said earlier this week via social media. This was a deliberate decision to allow the right medical evaluations to happen on the ground where the full range of diagnostic capability exists. And turning to Pennsylvania news, Bucks County's newly sworn-in sheriff is terminating his predecessor's agreement with U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement and making other changes to his office's policies on immigration. Democratic Sheriff Danny Ceisler, who took office last week, announced Wednesday that he is immediately terminating the Bucks County Sheriff's Office's 287G agreement with ICE. Under the county's task force model agreement, struck under former Sheriff Fred Herron, the department's 16 officers were given the authority to carry out immigration enforcement duties in the county. Ceisler pledged during a contentious election campaign that he would end the 287G agreement immediately. Herron was also sued by the American Civil Liberties Union and other groups last spring over the agreement. The group said the Republican former sheriff entered into the agreement without authorization from the Bucks County Commissioners, and the commissioners later voted to disavow the agreement. Despite a judge siding with Herron, Ceisler said the agreement was never implemented. Herron said Wednesday's announcement was a political stunt. And that's the news at this hour. If you are watching our news videos on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel. PEP Radio is available on the Live 365 app, the PEP Radio page at paequality.com, Roku, and Alexa. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.